Well, welcome everyone. If you haven't had a chance, I know I've been saying this as people are joining in from the breakout room, from the waiting room, but please feel free to share your name and agency in the chat. We're so glad everyone could join us today. Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jessica Davison. So glad you could all be here today. And then joining me today are Rashid Tillis and Aaron Clarkson. They're going to kind of help with different portions of today. So if you haven't already, please share your name and agency in the chat. Today is a really interactive session, so just warm yourself up by sharing your name and agency in the chat. And just as a housekeeping note, we will share the recording, the PowerPoint, and loads of resources after the session. Today marks our 5th Data in Dish featuring the ALICE data. We're really excited for those who have been able to attend all of them, but if today's your first session, welcome. We're going to dive today into the benefits of sufficient income and what does that mean for ALICE, but also for the community. So knowing that today is more of a discussion around the benefits, I wanted to do a quick level set around the ALICE data. So ALICE is a quantitative data analysis of what it takes to make ends meet. It uses real world, bare bones household budgets specific to the area. The ALICE data presents a more accurate picture of the economic reality across our community, especially regarding the number of households that are severely economically challenged. So there are really 2 core components or elements to the ALICE data, the survival budget and then the percent ALICE or living in poverty. So right here you can see the survival budget. This is unique to the ALICE data. This is specific to the county, the state, and the household size. The survival budget includes actual costs of things such as housing, childcare, food, transportation, healthcare, and a low-cost smartphone, so technology. And today we're going to talk more about what does it mean to have sufficient income across all these different areas. You know, again, and I say it time and time again, the ALICE survival budget is bare bones. It's real world, conservative estimates of what it takes to make ends meet. It doesn't include anything like savings or frills in the budget. So here we can see a family of 3 that represents a single parent with a preschooler and a school-age child that needs just about $57,893 annually, which is a little over $4,800 on a monthly budget. So based on that survival budget, we also know what the percentage is that is ALICE or living below poverty. And so we know that close to 1 million households in Greater Houston are struggling to make ends meet, meaning they're ALICE or living in poverty. So here, if we work our way from the bottom up, we can see the different counties and how Fort Bend and Montgomery County now in 2018 are at 38% of ALICE or living in poverty. We see for our Greater Houston community, it went from 40% in 2016 to 47% in 2018. And then up as we look at Harris County and Waller County. And it's important to remember that households move above and below the ALICE threshold, also known as the ALICE survival budget, as economic and personal circumstances change, which is especially true with what we're experiencing during times of disasters or with the pandemic. So a more recent study and polls are showing that closer to 63% of individuals and families in Houston reported that they're struggling to make ends meet due to the pandemic. So that's just kind of like a level set and a nice kind of reminder and framework for the ALICE data. And then now we'll kind of pivot into what does it mean to have sufficient income? So today we're exploring these choices in one area and how it inadvertently affects choices in another area. The problems are complicated and interwoven. Complicated choices are often referred to as the consequences of insufficient income. And if you've been to any of our other ALICE sessions we've had in the past, we actually had one focused on insufficient income and what does that mean for ALICE. But today we're going to look at the flip side of that, and we're going to look at the benefits to sufficient income. So today's an interactive session. Like I said, we'll share more. We're going to share what does it mean to have sufficient income across the survival budget components from ALICE and the community's perspective. But we'll also gather your insights from your experience, either your lived experience, your professional experience, what you see day to day, to really build out this knowledge around what does it mean for benefits of sufficient income. So as we do that, as we move in and out of discussion, I wanted to kind of carry forward some ground rules from our coffee and quality session. So our ground rules are this is a safe place to share. Let's share the air. So if you find that you tend to lean in a lot, maybe lean back a little, and then vice versa. If you tend to lean back a little, lean in a little bit. So we'll share the air together, and then share your knowledge and experience. There's no right or wrong answer. We're all here to collectively learn and grow with one another. Are there any additional ground rules we want to share as we kind of dive into our first? We're going to do a big open discussion first. I'm going to look at this chat, see if anyone has any extra ground rules they want us to share, they'd like to add in, or look at the panel of faces, see if anybody's looking at me with a raised hand while you try to hear my cat try to get in the room. So apologies for that. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody with an extra ground rule to share. So also in this session, we're going to be pretty interactive. So we have a Google Doc lined up where you can kind of follow along. And so as I pose our first question, feel free to go over to the Google Doc. So our big open room discussion question is, what does it mean to have sufficient income? Please feel free to add in the chat or to share aloud, unmute yourself. I know Erin's going to help take notes.
Hi, this is Nadia. Having sufficient income means peace of mind.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Nadia. Peace of mind. Let's see what's going on in the chat. If anyone else having savings and enough room for emergency happens, that's definitely, I'll copy that into the chat. Oh, and other people are adding in. Thank you. Love it, you guys. Feel free to add in for those that are used to this, huh? Having enough money to pay bills, seeing that come in, less stress, fewer worries, eating healthier. Charles, yes.
Yes, I think it's also mental stability from that aspect. If you know that you are able to pay your bills and to some comfort, it'll also relax any mental instability.
Yes.
From a mental health standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Mental health standpoint, peace of mind, fewer worries, kind of hearing a big collective theme come up from there. Thank you. Being able to live in a safe place. I see Michael Clement sharing that in the chat. Able to meet all your basic needs, housing, food, transportation. Thank you, Laura, for sharing that. Not having to work 2 or 3 jobs to be able to take care of your family. Yeah, these are great things coming through the chat. I'm going to copy and paste some of those in so we can kind of continue to carry on this document, because there's a lot, there's a lot. And I think from everybody's different perspective also, it means something different. Anyone else have anything they'd like to add in? Thank you, Kimberly. I see you in the chat, still able to save for rainy day. So adding in that savings aspect as well. Thank you. Great. Also seeing folks adding into the Google Drive, some seeing that mental stability, mental health, money where you do not have to pull out a loan or payday loan. That's a great example of, not having to also work multiple jobs. So the stress of loans and paying that back. Thank you. Less family conflict. Great. So we've really pulled and compiled quite a bit there. So thank you all for sharing. So today we're going to dive a little deeper, like I said, into the different elements of the budget, and then what does that mean to have sufficient income in that area. So let me go back to this screen. Here we go. So we're going to start with housing. Despite wide national variations, housing costs are really, for renters and owners, are consistently outpacing wages. Faced with higher housing costs, most Alice households are considered housing burden, meaning that their housing costs more than 30% of their income. But with safe, affordable housing, you'll see 2 different things for Alice and then also for the community. So for Alice, you'll see improved health through safe environments, decreased stress, improved educational performance outcomes for children's, greater stability for households. And then for the community, this means lower healthcare cost, better maintained housing stock, lower crimes, less spending on homeless and social services. So that's kind of the very tip of what does it mean for housing. Let's keep going on and look at what does it mean for childcare. So lack of education is connected to financial instability, especially related to earning potential, mobility, limited career opportunity. But with access to quality childcare and out of school time education, you'll see an improved academic performance, higher lifetime earnings, higher graduation rates, improved job stability, access for parent, easier job stability, access for parents, better health, better social and emotional development and learning. That's from the Alice perspective in their family. But then also for the community, what you'll see is a decreased racial and ethnic, socioeconomic performance gaps, decreased income disparities. There's also a high return on investment when we invest in early childhood education. So quite a bit of benefits in different areas for education and childcare. Then let's also, for the third one, let's look at quality healthcare. So lack of healthcare is critical to your overall well-being. I think we're all seeing that in the day-to-day reality we live in with COVID-19 and the pandemic. So what does that look like when you don't have healthcare, right? So that might be foregoing or delaying or even skipping preventative healthcare or mental health services or substance abuse treatment, using the emergency room for non-emergent care. But when you have quality healthcare, you'll find better mental health and physical health, improved access to preventative care, fewer missed days of work and school, decreased need for emergency services. And then for the community at large, we'll see, decreased healthcare spending, improved workplace productivity, decreased wealth health gap. These are just three, these are again, just the tip of the iceberg. And so we want to take this more into a conversation now. And so we've covered three topics, but we're going to have a little bit more of a discussion around the topic. So for those that have gone into the Google Doc, glad you're there. You'll need that for the breakout rooms. So today you get to pick your own breakout rooms. Rashid we're setting up our breakout rooms right now. So that way you can pick between housing, housing, childcare and education, or healthcare.
I'm happy to talk about housing.
Okay, awesome. Go ahead.
Great. So we had a lot of really, really fantastic comments and interesting things that folks thought of. I would say the base was exactly that. Housing, safe, affordable housing is really the foundation of all other needs. Without that, everything else is really up in the air and chaos. It provides not only a security blanket, but community, a sense of community and belonging. Also, it provides access to other resources like transportation, access to good schools and childcare options, access to better food options, access to healthcare and the quality of the healthcare that we received. There's also environmental impacts associated with housing. So are you located in an industrial area that could potentially be a cancer cluster? Is that community safe from flooding? I think all of those things are really important. And we talked about the overall quality of life, feeling safe in your community and access to resources. And ultimately, the really key part about affordable being that spending money on housing doesn't take away from spending money on other essential items like education, healthcare, things like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nadia. And it looks like the housing kind of intersected with the other areas, right? Y'all are able to point that out. All right, anyone else? Maybe someone from the child care group? Don't be shy. We're all friends, guys.
Oh, hey, this is Catherine, and I can summarize. We had an amazing group contributing, and if you have quality childcare, then the parents are able to be productive because they have quality childcare. Children have more opportunities. Children are able to progress in their futures more hopefully earn sufficient income. And then there's all kinds of benefits to quality childcare. One mentioned that when children are in pre-K, they get a solid foundation and are better able to stay on track through school, through all the grades. Also, through schools and childcare, often children have meals provided, which are so important. There are also health benefits to being in a healthy quality childcare where children play and interact with others. Also, there's lots of mental health benefits from quality childcare through the socialization and friendships and communication. Childcare has the potential to level the playing field across different gaps, socioeconomic and backgrounds. Additionally, can provide an extra layer of safety and support for families to help connect families to wraparound services if needed, and just awareness in general of opportunities. Also, quality childcare can open doors to post-secondary pathways and increased skill and income opportunities for the children as well as for the parents.
Right. All right, good. Awesome points. Thank you so much, Catherine. Lastly, our healthcare group.
Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, I love being volunteered. What we discussed was the fact that a lot of folks that fall within the model of Alice might not even have an employer that covers insurance, that has a insurance plan, or if they do, the premiums and the deductibles may be too high for them, or they may only focus in on the employee and not on the extended family, the spouse, dependents, children, things of that nature. The fact that if they are using public health, how many of those public health facilities are open, let's say on a Saturday or Sunday when they may not be working? And is there a trade-off? If you're sick, do you take a day off of work and you may be docked, if that's not a benefit, to go to the doctor? Do you forego seeing a doctor and then only need to use one when you're extremely sick? And what's the cost of preventive care? We talked about that. What is covered by an employer and what isn't? And are there finances to cover, let's say, mental health, substance abuse treatment centers, things of this nature that your employer may or may not offer within their set plan if you access that plan?
All right, thank you for sharing. So a lot of really good conversation, and really want to thank you all for participating. A kind of theme I'm hearing across, we talk about quality, quality healthcare, quality childcare, affordable, all that requires, adequate income, correct? And so a lot of good conversation. So Jessica, I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Shauna, and thank you everyone for contributing and participating and sharing your perspective. We're going to keep moving forward and kind of repeat that same process, but let's look at 3 other areas of the survival budget. So reliable transportation. Transportation and commuting is an issue across our 4-county area. And I say the commuting, I know some of us are still virtual, so the commuting isn't as much of an issue, but it's still part of our reality with how widespread our 4-county area is. So whether it's unreliable transportation, risk of accident, or increased maintenance costs, ALICE benefits when they have reliable transportation. They'll see improved access to job opportunities, school and childcare, healthcare. There's kind of a laundry list of things that you can access when you have reliable transportation. And then from a community perspective, there's great impact in our community, right? With fewer high emission vehicles on the road, a more diverse labor workforce, and then also decreased income disparities. So transportation can impact other areas and have a strong impact for our community. The other area that we'll talk about is adequate food. So finding enough affordable, high quality, there's that theme of quality again, healthy food is continual or periodically a challenge for many families. No community is immune to this problem, especially again, here's COVID-19 impacting this. So when ALICE has adequate food, we see decreased food insecurity, improved health, especially for children and seniors, decreased likelihood of developmental delays, and then behavioral problems in school. For our community, there's a connection between food and community health, as it creates opportunities for lower healthcare costs, improved workplace productivity, and less spending on emergency food services. And then what I really appreciate about the ALICE survival budget, many things, but one is technology. So we live in a digital, fast-paced technology world. Without access to technology, you're left behind. I mean, technology is being updated constantly. We're trying out a new Zoom feature today. And so we still work through our kinks with that. But everyone here had access to some kind of technology, right? There's access, but then also how to use and utilize that technology. Those are all things that without technology, we find ourselves, less productive workers or students, increased future healthcare cost and demand. But when we have access to technology, you see improved access to job opportunities. We expand access to health information and telehealth services, increase job and academic performance, increase access to skills and personal technology use, right? For the community, we'll see a decreased digital divide and access to technology, increased opportunities for civic engagement. So consider the census. Folks needed technology to submit their census form as the preferred avenue for completion. There were other avenues as well, the paper form, but they were really trying to get everybody to do it online. So that just shows how technology is so critical in the world we live in and how that just relates back into that survival budget. So we're going to go the same flow as we did last time. You'll get to pick your room. You'll go into the breakout room. You can either pick transportation, food, or technology. If you don't see the little join breakout room pop up, have no fear. We can get you into a breakout room of your choice. Use the Google Doc to type your notes down. I'll drop that in the chat again. Please let us know if you have any questions or need any support.
Looks like you guys enjoyed your discussion just from the looks of those with their cameras on. Thumbs up. Is that a thumbs up? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Couple thumbs up. All right. All right. So we're going to let the remainder of those in their breakout rooms come back. And we'll jump right into our share out. So as Shauna said, don't be shy. Let's hear from the transportation group first. Transportation. Not all at once.
I can go for transportation. So what does reliable transportation mean? I mean, I think it's, aside from housing, one of the most important services communities can offer its citizens, because it allows people access outside of their immediate community. So it offers them some potential increase in financial stability because they have more access to jobs, different industries that may not be accessible to them within walking distance. It offers them more community support because they may live close to a job, but maybe they used to go to a church that is on the other side of town, and then they have a lot of support there. So it gives people a lot of mobility and freedom to allow them to have access to that transportation. So I really think public transportation is one of the best gifts governments or communities can offer its citizens.
Especially in the city of Houston, right? I mean, you have to have reliable transportation living in this area. So thank you, Irene. Okay, adequate food. Can we have a quick share out there? Come on, lightning round.
All right, go Felicia, help me out. So adequate food means that people can be healthy in mind, body, and spirit, and better prenatal care and healthier babies. Also, children are healthier and can pay attention to do better in school. And it helps family relationships, less strife and anguish if you have enough food. Let's see, importance of food, fresh food that's close by that people can access. Stable food resources allows families to participate in things in the community. Also, reduce the number of doctor visits or ER visits due to better health. And people, if they have food, they can do their job. And just in general safety, people are safer when they have food because, you know, they're doing things better. What else? There's quite a lot of benefits to adequate food. Happiness.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. And I mean, with all you listed, I will add nothing. We know how critical having adequate food is. So thank you so much, Catherine, for sharing that on behalf of the group. Okay, who will speak for reliable technology?
I can talk a little bit.
Hey, thanks.
So yeah, one of the biggest things that we found that's, you know, as far as reliable technology, if you have reliable technology, you're kind of able to do everything that you need to do these days. But a lot of disadvantaged groups, we talked about, one of the main things is people don't have enough like laptops and phones, and they might have one apparatus in their house that everybody shares. So all the kids in the house, they've gone virtually to school, but they can't attend because they only have one laptop per family, and their family isn't able to have all the kids go to school, do their homework, all of the things that you need to do on a computer to go virtually to school to get your education. So unfortunately, the disadvantaged groups are the people that don't have enough technology will become even more disadvantaged during this time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, you're absolutely right, Michael. And I think Jessica mentioned it earlier about, you know, we live in a fast-paced digital age. Like that's just, it's only going to become even more digital, right? So reliable technology is very, very crucial. Okay, guys, we have one more, a little bit more to share. So I'm gonna pass it over to Jessica. Thank you all for sharing out.
Yeah, thank you all so much. We are nearing the end with 8 minutes left, but we still have 2 sections to cover. So I'm going to stay in the Google Doc and we're going to kind of do this all together. I thought about going back into breakout rooms, but maybe we just do it all together as a group share. So taxes, 'tis the season. You know, whether they're deducted from the worker's paycheck or paid quarterly for self-employed workers, taxes are a burden for Alice families. For most workers, payroll taxes are automatically deducted from their paychecks. However, many families are left with an income tax payment due each April. With low income, little or no savings, and a range of family and work responsibilities, families have limited choices for paying taxes. However, when we have appropriate taxes for Alice, that means a potential for refund, reduced risks of being audited and fined, from not filing or paying taxes. We have better education system, healthcare, roads, safer community. And that really speaks to the community side of the coin. where taxes benefit our community tenfold with increased funding to schools, healthcare, transportation. We have economic growth of our state, local community, nation. We also have additional benefits to public systems such as police officers, postal system, and emergency preparedness. So it link into disaster. So as a collective, if you want to share out, like, what does it mean to have, for Alice to have appropriate taxes or have their taxes, please feel free. We're going to do this all together in our last 6 minutes together.
Well, it's increased stability if you don't have that big payment due in April.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it sets up the client, I know with mine, for the rest of the year. They pull from that. That's the way that they're able to live just outside of their means, which is unfortunately what they're sort of forced to do because of their pay rate. So that is huge all year long. So if there was anything that were to happen to that, I mean, that could make all the difference.
Exactly. It provides that little cushion for them. I definitely heard that. Definitely seeing some more things coming into the Google Doc as well. So taxes fund public services that can offset expenses. It means having less disposable income when attempting to make ends meet, less worry. See somebody writing that in. Anyone else want to share out one more thing for taxes on what it means for Alice or the community? I appreciate the nod to free tax prep resources help ease tax burden. Yes, and so anyone from our tax center want to give a shout out, the floor is yours. But we will share the link to the tax centers as a follow-up after our email as well. After the session as well. So thank you. I'm gonna drop a couple of things in the chat that came in about if taxes fund infrastructure in the community. Always great to know how it impacts Alice and also impacts the community. Okay, we have one more spot, so feel free to keep adding into the Google Doc for taxes, but savings. So Alice often has little to no savings. They're one emergency away from financial distress. With savings, Alice has the ability to withstand an emergency without a long-term financial impact. They'll have greater asset accumulation over time, whether that's interest on savings, ability to invest in their education, property, they can finance finances for a secure retirement. But then also for the community, when Alice has savings, that impacts our community with greater charitable contributions and less spending on emergency health, food, and senior services. So again, just the tip of the iceberg. Would love to hear from you guys about what does it mean for Alice to have savings, or for our community when Alice has savings. And thank you, Catherine, for sharing the Baker Ripley link for the tax centers. I appreciate that. Oh, I see some stuff coming in. For savings, they don't have the burden on their children. Able to pay for an emergencies, less stress. Yes, that note of that we heard at the beginning about, they have less, that, having sufficient income means that you have less worry, that you have a peace of mind. For me, that really relates to the savings piece. So thank you for sharing that. Anyone else like to unmute and share? We have about 1 or 2 more minutes.
Someone in the chat said less reliant on credit, which we know for the predatory lending folks, that can be, a trap. So that's it helps to, prevent that.
Yes, thank you. Great note to bring up. See a little more coming in from the chat. When an emergency arises, they don't have a huge crisis, right? So when you have a savings, if the flat tire is your emergency, having that savings, having the ability to pay for that flat tire without having a risky payday loan or having to borrow money, that's always that can really help with a lot for Alice. So thank you. I'm going to add that in here as well. Support families. Yeah, that I think that charitable contribution, for the impact of the community, but then also, being able to support your family if they're in support or in need as well. Great note added into the doc. I appreciate that. All right. So I hope today really brought to light that strengthening communities, strengthening Alice really means that it's a higher quality of life for all of us. And that the benefits of sufficient income are across all the areas of the survival budget, and really impact and overlap with each other as we kind of were diving in and talking about each area. So thank you all so much for all your engagement. We covered a lot of ground today. It was great to have this time together. So our hour is here. We are 1 minute out, but we have one more session. So hope you can join us in March for our last data edition this series. It's Alice in action. So how can we use the Alice data in our programs and our agencies? We're really going to be, it's another interactive session. So hope you can join us. I also dropped the link in the chat for your feedback. Your feedback is a gift. Please share it with us. We want to continue to improve our sessions with you guys. So thank you all so much for joining us today. And thank you for your engagement and your conversations. And thank you to Rashid, Shauna, Aaron for all their support. Takes a village for these sessions. I appreciate y'all.